Welcome to True Health Tuesday. The truth will set you free. And we're going to free up the world tonight. The future of healthcare. Think of this. If we could go back in time like 10 years, and I'd say, look, you're going to love this. In 2019, they're going to force medical procedures without informed consent. And in fact, we're going to take parents completely out of the picture in California. So there's going to be no religious, no personal beliefs exemption. And even we're going to take the medical doctors out of this so there'll be forced medical procedures with only by state officers. Would that be crazy? 10 years ago, no one would ever believe it. That was cool. No one ever even saw you. Now, we do have epidemics, okay, but you're not going to hear them on the news because it is a controlled media. And I'm really excited to show you some of the data here because there's laws in the Constitution protecting the evil government from controlling corporations, okay, that can control news outlets or anything else. So you have, and just think of like, Perry White, okay, the Superman, the editor, and he's fighting to get the truth out there and all this other stuff. So they have the system set up to where the government can't stop that, okay? But they don't have it the other way around, where the corporations that run the controlling medias that can actually go in. I like that. Is that a ventriloquist? Okay, so they don't have it set up where the corporations can't control the output. Okay, so that's what we're seeing. We're seeing controlled media. And we do have a dementia epidemic. Autism is a normal part of childhood, and dementia is not a normal part of seniors. And so we need to change this. So I want to make it really clear that we have two clinics, because I get people, don't close the Huntington Beach clinic. Don't move to Mexico. Why are you moving to Mexico? Okay, let's look at what we got, okay? The Huntington Beach Clinic is one of the most advanced corrective chiropractic clinics in the world. We do digital stress x-rays, nerve scans, pre and post x-rays, and get amazing structural corrections. The Tijuana office, we do the same thing, except also, how many times have I seen on x-ray cavitations or mercury fillings or nasty toxicities in here? Or plates that need to be removed, or surgery screw-ups that need to be corrected. Okay, so that's going to add to a chemical stressor. So now in the Tijuana clinic, we also have stem cells. Now think of this, stem cells, how are they used? Why are they only about 30% effective? I'm going to go into that in a little bit at what they are and why it's different. And so the clinic down in Tijuana, I wanted it more like not a boutique clinic, but to mainly focus on the brain damage that our society's, suffering from. And I mean autism, Alzheimer's, dementia, anxiety, stress, encephalitis, all of these toxic brain injuries, because you can regenerate neurons in the brain. You can, there's a neuroplasticity, but if that person is suffering from extreme toxicity, they're not going to make it. Okay, you're not going to get as good results. Does that make sense? So, and I'm also on Extreme Health Academy. I transferred all of my stuff on the Dr. John Bergman site, all of the articles and everything else over to Extreme Health Academy. So I'm doing a couple of webinars a month and doing some more research for them. True Health Tuesday, it takes me about 4 to 5 hours to produce a weekly talk. So that, thank God for the free time. Online consultations, I do about 4 of these every week. Okay, and they take a couple hours before, a couple hours after to get it all done. I still speak outside. I just got back from Kansas. Yes, don't tell me that. I know we're not in Kansas anymore. Okay, then I do a weekly radio show. So consequently, I'm burning the candle at both ends. Okay, and I knew I was going to be working 7 days a week, but it's been 7 days a week now for 5 months. Okay, because there is some things. This is what's driving me. Okay, honest to God, this patient is just an example. Okay, I'm just using her x-rays and nerve scans as an example of what's going on, what I see every day. Okay, now she's 55 years old. That's young. Okay, that's really friggin' young. We should be going to 120, easy, healthy, all the time. Now you can see her x-ray right there. It's bent, turned, and twisted. Okay, and this is not abnormal. This is a very, very common finding. Okay, and this is a body adapting to it. And this is the sick society we're in. If somebody gets hurt when they're a teenager, okay, what do we say? Suck it up, get back on that horse, okay? You want peak performance, take an Advil and get back out there. You know what I mean? So trauma on top of trauma on top of trauma. Mechanical distortions are not viewed as pathology. Why? Because they're not taught how to correct it. One of the things that we're also going to be doing in Tijuana is developing a school to show people how to correct it. How would you like to be a parent and know how to do simple assessments and adjustments just to take the pressure off of the sacrum of a child? Okay, and literally we call it the off button, because I do show parents how it's just a little sacral pump and the kid will fart or poop in your hand. Single people, that sounds gross. Parents, is that friggin' wonderful? Yeah. Oh, you betcha. Kid stops crying, you know, thank goodness, you know, his bowels are working. They're not taught this in medical school, and they're not even teaching it now anymore in chiropractic college. But when you're looking at this, I want you to look at the tall x-ray there, that little round circle thing's the arch of the aorta. It's showing hardening of the arteries or atherosclerotic plaquing. When we look at the dark areas of her gut there, that's abnormal bowel gas, and that comes from vaccines, medication, toxic food, or compromised nerves. The bending film showed extreme compromised nerves. The neck, you're looking at grade 3 arthritis. That's an injury of more than 15 years old. You're looking at a reverse curve, so that means she tore a ligament 15 years earlier. No one is looking at a mechanical distortion causing an autonomic dysfunction now, except us, okay, and a few corrective chiropractors on the planet. That's her nerve scan, shows that she's in a sympathetic dominant stress state. So this means that she's in a fight or flight state. So what kind of things can she be diagnosed with today? Oh, by the way, look at her side view of the neck area. You're also looking at dental fillings. She's 55. Some of those things could have been in there since she was a teenager. And these are amalgam fillings, mercury fillings, which is a heavy metal poisoning leading to brain damage and systemic inflammation. Okay, so what is she going to do? Her body's already responding with stress. High blood pressure, could she have it? Yeah, she's in the sympathetic dominant state. What idiot on the planet thinks that, gee, your blood pressure is high, I'm going to leave all of this and give you a diuretic, which is going to cause your body to lose potassium, and you're going to get heart palpitations and a heart attack later on. Or I'm going to give you 2 blood pressure drugs, and your stroke increases because they lower blood pressure and your arteries are going to constrict in order to raise it back up, because the drugs are poisonous. Or, knowing that she's in stress, she's going to be misdiagnosed with type 2 diabetes. Not one standard medical advice is going to say, look, change your diet, you're in a stress state, let's find the physical, chemical, emotional stress, and it'll go away. Anxiety, fatigue, do we have drugs for those? Yes, we do. Does anyone think she's suffering from drug deficiency or chronic stressor? No, this is psycho world. It's psycho world. Low thyroid, low function adrenals, you got to balance in this. If you have systemic inflammation, you have chronic stress, by God, your adrenal glands are going to be firing like crazy. If they're firing like crazy for at least 15 years, what's it called? Adrenal fatigue. Gee, let's get her some supplements. Yeah, that's good. Okay, supplements for this? What kind of supplement's going to correct that? What kind of drug's going to correct that? This is our society. It's like nuts. And I got to go to Target or Walmart, and I see people shuffling around. I see kids going ballistic. I see dark circles around the eyes, which means chronic stress, low stomach acid, low mineral absorption. And then when people come in here, I have a lot of blood tests. I was diagnosed with complex regional pain syndrome. and I'm taking muscle relaxants, pain relievers, anti-inflammatories, sleep medications, and they sit down like this, and I'll say, well, they're not working. Okay, you still hurt, don't you? Well, yeah. Do you see? So this is the world that I'm working in. Okay, this is the outside of our clinic now. Okay, and I've got philosophy plastered up there to get people out of this doldrums that they think that the medical system currently today is actually practicing science, when it's not. They're the distribution arm of the largest industry in the world. This was the clinic before I got my hair cut. Okay, I mean, you guys are sitting right here now, so this isn't a big deal. People on Facebook, this is what the clinic looks like if I was to turn the camera around. On YouTube, if I move the camera back that way, you would see the same thing, okay? And you'll see we've got all the doctors up here. This is the clinic in Mexico. This is Alessandro Purcell. Now, he's the clinic director, owner. And think of this, we got three units down here in one. Okay, so it's like one giant unit. One, the American Biodental's been there for about 20 years. Next to that is the American Holistic Care. Okay, that's the surgery center, IV detox, it's getting everything out. The next one is the Bergman Family Chiropractic, and that's the Neurologic Corrective Center. Okay, so we have all these one units. It's in the Grand Hotel in Mexico. And so if you're afraid of Mexico, which is crazy because, I mean, if you saw this, there's a golf course right behind there. There's $1 million homes, not million peso homes, $1 million homes. And I mean, it is really a nice area. So it's literally the IV detox everything, okay, that I could think of. Because that patient I just showed you, does she need to be detoxed? Absolutely. Okay, if she's taking multiple prescriptions and things, we got to get her arteries clean. We got to get her blood healthy. So we do a live blood cell analysis so I could tell you exactly what your blood cell looks like, okay? How mobile they are, how healthy they are. I mean, everything. We can do stem cells, but here's the thing. Okay, let's look at stem cells. There's a bunch of different types. And I mean, if you look at embryonic cells and fetal cells, those things are a patentable product, and I don't like the way they're harvested, plus they're not needed. Okay, and you've got these 4 types that we work with. You know, you got sheep and rabbit cells. They've been used for, I think, 50 years, and you inject it in there, it causes inflammation, and the cells regenerate. Except all of these cells, they only have, let's talk about just joint regeneration, about a 30 to 40% success rate. Do you want to know why? Because they don't fix the problem. Okay, do you think that you can have, just take a knee for example, a knee with a problem isolated from the rest of the body? Yes, it's only a knee problem. You sleep fine, you poop great, you've never had a trauma, your foot has got beautiful biomechanics, your pelvis is stable. The fact that you've been limping on a messed up knee has nothing to do with the rest of your body. Yeah, sure, that makes sense. You know, brain dead people running doctor clinics? Yes, they are, because they're not looking at it. And then you got physical therapists that are really, really sharp, know a lot of stuff about the body. You got neurologists that decide on what they want to do, but they don't talk to each other. Okay, so you are not going to have a knee problem or degeneration with good biomechanics ever, all over the place. Now think of this. Nobody has ever corrected all the biomechanics involved in one joint and then do the stem cells. What do I mean by that? Think of this. If you've had a trauma, you're going to have altered nerve supply, altered mechanics. So before you do a knee stem cell injection, you've got to restore or stabilize the pelvis. Because if you've been walking like this, do you think the pelvis is stable or unstable? Common sense says unstable. Okay, yeah. I mean, we're talking just basic stuff. Okay. Will the feet be good biomechanics or poor? So we got to look at the low back. So I'm telling you, when somebody comes in with a knee problem, we're going to do stress x-rays of the lumbar. Also, we're going to take a look at the upper torso Because if they had a lateral deviation, there's a lateral translation. Do you think that changes the force loading on the lower extremities? Yes or yes? Duh. Okay, so you've got to look at the whole body. I'm just talking common sense. Now, do you think if that person had, 30-year-old breast implants, if they had mercury fillings, if they're taking 5 or 6 different medications for different stress responses, because that's all it is. I mean, if you're taking a blood pressure for high blood pressure, you don't have a defect, you get a stress response. If you're pre-diabetic, okay, pre-type 2 diabetes, you don't have a disease, you have a stress response, a toxic stress response. Okay, so all of these things, they're the body adapting to physical, chemical, or emotional stress. So let's get back to the knee. So what do? What if you stabilize the pelvis, restore the nerve supply, correct everything, got the person to sleep right, got them to poop right, got them detoxed, okay, so they're actually functioning correctly, got all the structures around the knee working correctly, then you inject it. You know why people don't do that?
Because it works, you don't know.
Huh? Well, here's the problem. Not only does it work, but if you fix everything, the body has the ability to regenerate. You might not need it. Okay, and stem cells are expensive, and they're a pain in the butt. Well, not butt, it's usually bone marrow, but they're a pain, okay, to get out, to grow, to regenerate. So let's look at these. Sheep and rabbit cells have been used for about 40, 50 years. You inject it, causes inflammation, and can regenerate. But if you don't correct the surrounding problem, it's not going to work. Donor cells. See, when you draw out stem cells, you have to grow them in a dish, and you have to make sure it's a clean growth, okay, clean colony. And so that takes a while. It's you have to grow multiple cells. So these are donor cells that are really good. They work well, okay, and those are less expensive. The fat cells that they draw out of your own fat, so they're your own cells. Those are great for for joint regeneration. However, if you're talking brain stuff, and this is the autism, the Alzheimer's, the dementia, the Parkinson's, the MS, okay, all of the neurologic problems, the neurotoxic reactive problems that our population is suffering from. You notice I'm not calling them diseases. Because what's the cause of Parkinson's? Unknown. What's the cause of MS? Unknown. What's the cause of dementia? Unknown. Okay, so these are all neurotoxic reactions that our population is suffering from, and we have 100%, infection rate, if you want to call it infectious, or effectiveness rate, because everyone's going to get it. Okay, so to do the brain stuff, you got to get the mesenchymal cells, and this is from the bone marrow. Now, it's kind of cool because one of the doctors down there, he is a genius when it comes to stem cells. He can add some growth factors there. He can get, good mesenchymal cell production up. And the way he injects it, he has a higher success rate. So that's cool. He comes in my office, and I see him sitting down like this. Okay, I mean, like he's hurting. Okay, and I say, Doc, I'm Bergman. I'm so glad to meet you. I heard you. You got a really good reputation. And I said, would you mind if I took an x-ray of your knees? He said, yeah, I'd like that. And I said, I'm actually pretty good at fixing people. Okay, so we're now working with each other and starting to, because when I took a picture of his knees, this was the weirdest thing, by the way. He had beautiful cartilage production. He didn't have the typical, when they say bone on bone, and it's never bone on bone, there's always something there. Okay, he had good tissue production there, good spacing, but horrible pain. So, over the last 3 weeks, we're causing inflammation, restoring the biomechanics of the foot, stabilizing the pelvis, restoring the nerve supply, and his knees are feeling better. They always do. So now, but here's Parkinson's and brain stuff, and this is the thing that don't just jump on it. If you're going to a stem cell place, like we're the only licensed one in Tijuana, okay, I think northern Mexico. But when you look at it, you have to, when you're going to inject these, the stem cells go to areas of inflammation. And so before you inject stem cells, not in the joints, but I'm talking in an IV, you got to look at the whole body. Because if there's abnormal cell growth, like cancer cells, man, it'll attach there and grow that. So we have to do a blood test, and the blood test costs us over $400. Okay, and so this is, you got to check for everything, and then we got to do a diagnostic ultrasound to check every solid tissue organ to make sure that there's no abnormal cell growth or cancer cells in the body, as best as we can do it. And then they're drawn up to the inflammatory process. So, and here's an article on Parkinson's. We're going to do a whole talk on stem cells so we can get into it. Here's one on Alzheimer's disease. You're going to see them all over the place. This is, and again, this is what I envisioned is not what it's turning out to be. I thought it'd just be a cool place that I could send people with the Alzheimer's, dementia, Parkinson's, and get my autistic patients down there. I would just detox, so it'd be like a boutique clinic. When we first were opening it, now there's a lot of doctors and nurses at this clinic, and they never even heard of altering autonomic function. Now, this should be like Goosebumps Central, because when you're talking, if you have a person in a stress state, okay, and we have two aspects of the nervous system. One keeps you alive under stress. If they're in a stress state, they're not going to be thinking about regenerating tissue. They're going to have poor sleep patterns, poor nutrient absorption, poor everything. So if you're in a stress state, do you think any therapy is going to be as effective as if you weren't in a stress state? Do you know what I mean? And so they're going, and I'm talking to the doctors and saying, yeah, man, we can identify on a sympathetic dominant state. We can identify the mechanical, structural, and chemical causative factors of that. And we can alter that to get them out of the sympathetic dominant state into the parasympathetic. Okay, in English, we get them out of the stress state so their body can regenerate tissue. Go on, say it with me. Wow! Does that mean all the therapies that we do will actually work? Yes, it's true. It's really cool. So now one of the docs, and he is, I like Dr. Garcia, he's really cool. Okay, Dr. Antonio, oh my God, what do you guys, the doctors down there, they're taught with medical textbooks, okay, from America. And the textbooks in America, the Bible doesn't have as much authority, okay? This is how you do it, this is the problem, this is the solution. There is nothing else. Okay, holy moly, and that's not true. Okay, do you really think that 500 years from now we're going to be doing the same type of Advil commercials? Okay, they're going to be, get your flu shot, it's 500 years in the future. No, this is stupid. And so what they're teaching the medical doctors down there in Mexico is that if you find something, okay, that's effective, that works, that has an objective measurement that's helping your patients, be open to it. Wow. I know. I'm just talking heresy here, okay? It's like keep learning, okay? There's a group of medical students that are coming down there, and one of okay, so we just opened the clinic, and I'm trying to see how much time it takes to get the full body thermography, the live blood cell analysis, the heart rate variability, the digital x-rays. How long does it take? Does anybody know how long it takes? I didn't. I had to do a bunch of research, so we checked everybody in the clinic, okay? One of the kids, 15-year-old boy, okay, with cardiac arrhythmias. And we go in there, take the x-rays, top of his thoracic area is off, and that's the sympathetic nerve supply to the heart. And my Spanish is getting better, but it's still not good. Okay, and I didn't know what he was in for, what the challenge was, because we were checking the x-rays. I knew that he had forward head carriage and everything, and we took a picture of it, and I says, wow, have you had heart palpitations? And his mom was there and said, yeah, how did you know? Well, I could read a map, it's right here. And so we've been adjusting him because he was going to go to a cardiologist, possibly getting a pacemaker. He no longer has a pacemaker. Okay, the first 3 kids after that, all 3 of them had rheumatoid arthritis. And it's like, well, wait a second. This is not, because rheumatoid arthritis is supposed to be symmetrical, supposed to be an autoimmune condition. What's the cause? Unknown. Okay, yeah, we don't know. Okay, so well, I mean, they don't know. But if you look at it not as something attacking the body or the body going crazy and attacking itself, that it's actually a response to physical, chemical, or emotional stress. You detox the body. How do we know if detoxing is going to be effective? You do a live blood cell analysis. You know, we're not just looking for a positive RA factor or inflammatory markers. That's dumb. Okay, we're looking for what the red blood cells actually look like. Do they have good motility? Do they have good shape? Is there too many platelets walking around? You know, where's the inflammatory structures inside of that live blood cell analysis? And what's cool is they're all getting better. I mean, so this clinic has taken on a world of its own. So that's the staff watching me adjust. I got these pictures off of YouTube because Saturday when I wanted to take the pictures, I was wiped out. Okay, so these are really shitty pictures of a really pretty clinic. Okay, the entrance is up on the top left. That's the live blood cell analysis. The purple thing with a bag in the middle of it, that's the thermography unit. Yes, I took a picture of the air conditioner because that room's got to be freaking cold to do a good thermography. I mean, people chill their butts off. Okay, but it gives a really accurate picture. This was me Saturday. I mean, I came down with a cold Friday night that if I was a horse, you would have shot me. Okay, but I had to, you know, get a couple of consults done. I had to do it, and Dr. Antonio, I said, look, I got 10 minutes. Okay, you know, 15 tops. And he says, yeah, sit down. I'll bring it over here. Okay, do you think it took more than 15 minutes? Of course, yeah. So thank God he didn't listen to me. Okay, so he shooting me up with an IV. There's a Myers cocktail, and you're talking minerals, magnesium, vitamin C, B complex. Okay, this is my sweetheart. It really is, okay? Okay, you might say, wow, Bergman, you're a really lucky man. Okay, now my wife, I don't know if you've ever met her. She's a cute little furry darling, okay? When I met her about 5 years ago, okay, she was bringing a friend of hers out from New York. And you know, she's Pakistani, so what does that mean? Every member of her family is a medical doctor or engineer. Okay, it really is true. It's not stereotype. But so she had the best medical care around. So consequently, with the stressors that she was under, she had ulcerative colitis. So what do you get for ulcerative colitis? Non-steroidal anti-inflammatories, steroids, and antibiotics. 20 years. 20 years. And plantar fasciitis, fissures. So what does fissures mean? That's an unstable pelvis. This means a chronically stressed state. And so before we were even dating, I said, hon, I could fix you. Okay, you're in a stressed state. We just got to restore the nerve supply and blood supply to the gut. We got to heal the gut flora. And she was told that if she stopped those drugs, she would die. Okay, so I said, well, this is how the body works and everything else. She trusted me. She got off all the drugs, totally drug-free. She has more energy. She didn't have plantar fasciitis, the fissures. Everything's working fine. She developed vitiligo. Okay, and this is a big deal for girls, a big deal. Okay, guys, I don't know if it would help or hurt us. You know, I mean, you know, but you know, you're talking big white patches everywhere. Okay, and this was horrible for her because she's a good-looking girl. So what do we do? And I said, hon, the only way to do it is to heal the gut flora and the body will heal itself. Heal the gut flora and the body will heal itself. And she is now, and we're talking about 3.5 years into the therapy. This is her doing the photodynamic therapy. We're doing IVs to detox her from the 20 years of crap that they put into her. But you could tell she has a badass attitude. Doesn't this look like Jason and the Argonauts? Okay, I'm just thinking, you know, it just looks cool. Okay, all of the work that I've had on the Dr. John Bergman site with all the articles, everything, we transferred it over to the Extreme Health Academy. So many people have gone through cancers. They've gone through corrections of arthritic changes. They've gone through chronic diseases, anxiety, stress, and they're in the forums here. Okay, this is really a cool site, particularly since they're wiping off all the social media sites. Okay, that means that I don't know how long this is going to be on, but we're going live on Facebook right now. Next week, this will be edited and put up on YouTube. So this is like our safe haven. This is where everything's going. And now everybody can get a free trial. You type in Bergman 14, and so what does that give you? 14 days. I'll get to check it out. But it's also a way to help Justin and Kate, and because it's kind of funny because has anyone seen commercials on my YouTube videos? Yeah? Oh, they're all over the friggin' place. Okay, so if I'm talking about how dangerous blood pressure drugs are, they're talking about lisinopril, a blood pressure drug. If I'm talking how dangerous a vaccine is, they're putting up, get your flu shot today. So it's just like, my God, don't you know the content? Are you serious? You want to advertise on something I'm just disrespecting the statin drugs and you're telling people to take them? You know, so it's just like, I'm thinking it's like a comedy of errors, but now they're not doing it. So this is a way to support our work and our effort to get on there. So you got 2 weeks to try it out. But look at the articles. Okay, anything you see, download. Okay, keep it. I mean, this is vital. Now, this isn't the first time. I'm going to do a whole talk on the civil rights movement because people don't remember. We don't remember back really far. But do you remember 1954, 1950s, 60s? There was a big movement against music. Okay, that music, it was animals. It was exciting things. It's kind of like when the waltz first came out, if anyone's familiar with history, that was banned because how dare you touch the opposite sex during a dance? It's going to incite passions. So waltzes were outlawed. 1954, Boston Catholic Youth Organization, they demand radio stations refrain from playing any songs with obscene or sexually explicit lyrics. The McCarthy era, okay, the folk group, the Weavers, were banned by NBC for refusing to sign a loyalty oath. Will you sign an oath that you're loyal to the American government and you've never been a member of the Communist Party? If you don't, you will lose your privileges and you won't be seen on TV. Okay, that sounds crazy. Okay, will you subject your kids to the 72 doses of 17 different vaccines that have never been studied together in order to get them an education? Or when the adult vaccines come up, do you have proof of your vaccinations in order to get your driver's license or passport? So this is coming up. Nat King Cole. I know, radical music. At the time, he was attacked by White Citizens Council of Birmingham, Alabama. They felt that the black musicians had a plot to mongrelize Americans, to bringing out the animalism in people through the heavy beats in their music. Broadcast Music Inc., they collected the songs. I mean, they're literally a censoring group. Radio stations in Alabama would not play R&B music. It's that crazy. The FBI investigated Louie, Louie, Louie. And they couldn't understand the lyrics, so they said, okay, it's not obscene. Elvis Presley, that Elvis the pelvis bastard, film him from the waist up. We're going to burn his music, okay? Band radio DJ burned Elvis's albums. The Cardinal of Chicago called it hedonistic, tribal rock and roll. The North Alabama White Citizens Council demanded that jukeboxes be destroyed to prevent that black music from correcting the civilization. At the same time, if you had a different color of skin, you couldn't sit on the front of the bus. You had to use a different washroom. You couldn't share, forget walking down the street holding hands. Okay, this is our reality. This is the very near past. This is stuff that we forgot. Okay, and this is going on today. This guy, Rebel, this is, so when people say, why'd you go to Mexico? This guy went to Mexico during this, Wolfman Jack. Okay, got a radio station. They're called border stations, 5 times the amount of power of any American stations. Go big or go home. You could hear him from California to New York in a good night Europe. Yeah, baby. Okay, what was he blasting? Radio free, rock and roll, you betcha. Wolfman Jack. God, if I don't drink this, I'm going to sound like him. So when you look at it, I mean, so there has to be changes. I mean, this right now, and again, this happened just a few weeks ago. A chiropractor saying, you know, she's questioning the immunization and vaccination. And no one went back at her and says, look, here's the stats and facts. Okay, let's compare stats and facts. Let's have a discussion. No, this is not your scope of practice. You don't inject people. You shouldn't have an opinion. Shut up. Don't tell us. $100,000 fine. Okay, what do you think that's going to happen down here? Now, this was a bitchin' article. Okay, I encourage you to read it. It's on National Review. Yeah, this is what you know, if you're staying home sick, this is what you're going to read. Well, I did. Okay, I like the way this guy words it, because this is it. I mean, I'm looking at channels, okay, that have a different version of history. You know, have we been here for 6,000 years, 60,000 years, or 60 million years? Okay, there's controversy there, and some of those things can't be stated. And there's a disclaimer saying, look, our channel is being threatened because we're not following the standard protocol. Here's the blunt truth, however. Most red Americans don't even know or don't care about social media censorship. They certainly don't care enough to delete their apps. This isn't a market failure, it's a market verdict. Apathy rules, and this apathy is staying in part because social media companies have chosen their targets carefully. Apathy rules. Okay, One Health channel goes down, no problem, you know. I could just type in anything and get the government's opinion. Okay, I don't need to look for alternative because there isn't going to be anything there. Now, and this is the cool part. But that brings us to the rather important topic of the United States Constitution. The First Amendment limits the government's power to force a private corporation to provide a platform for speeches it despises. That's in one direction. No one ever thought about corporations taking over the government and the corporations deciding what the government should do. It's completely changed. This is the health of America. 60% of Americans have a chronic illness or disease they will never recover from, particularly if they're doing the therapy as recommended by the current medical system. Heart disease, what's the cause of it? Lifestyle factors and unknown. Cancer, what's the causative factors? Lifestyle factors and unknown. Chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, lifestyle factors or environmental factors. Strokes, what's the cause of it? Same as heart attacks. What is that? Lifestyle factors are unknown. Alzheimer's, what's the cause of it? Lifestyle factors are unknown. Type 2 diabetes, unknown. Some really intelligent doctors think it's lifestyle factors. Others say it can't be. Okay, chronic kidney disease, what's the cause of it? The two things that are unknown. Honest to goodness, and 40% of the population has more than one of these. Now, so when you look at this, and this is the current medical system, these are all, that's off the CDC site, okay, how to deal with medically unknown symptoms. Since 60% of the population has medically unknown symptoms in a chronic illness form that they'll never recover from, Western medicine seeks to practice evidence-based medicine. They don't. They don't. And I'm going to show you why, because what evidence-based is. Evidence is never static. It's always going to be worked and twisted and found out what's the real truth. Crazy physicians, okay, these physicians advocate avoidance of wide range of chemicals and non-valid tests and treatments. This is in clinical ecologist or environmental medicine. So does that mean that before the verdict came out about glyphosates causing cancer, that anybody that said, look, avoid GMO foods or GMO grains or glyphosates, that it can be toxic for you? because we've heard the studies, right. They're doing studies. They're studying on their own. Theories and practices that have been condemned by most medical societies. Absolutely. Okay, this is being condemned. Okay, why? Because I'm talking about taking care of yourself, altering autonomic function. Evidence-based medicine. It requires new skills of a clinician, including efficient literature searching and the application of formal rules of evidence in evaluating clinical literature. Evidence-based medicine is a lifelong, self-directed, problem-based learning in which caring for one's own patients creates the need for clinically important information about diagnosis, prognosis, therapy, and other clinical health issues. Damn! That's what I am. That's what every doctor should be. Because if you're not, you're following a system that is wiping out our planet. Oh, and those statistics from the CDC, that was the adults. 54% of our children have a chronic illness or disease. This is the insane circular logic. You have a low-functioning thyroid. We call it hypothyroid syndrome. Gee, doctor, what's the from? Well, the most common cause is Hashimoto's. Ooh, that sounds bad. What's Hashimoto's from? We don't know. But we have therapies for it. Do you see? It doesn't make any sense. Why did I have to go to Mexico? Because that clinic was complete. In order to have IVs up here or injections up here or detoxing or a surgery center, it would be ridiculously cost prohibitive. And then the insurances would be outrageous. Down there, everything is normal. The father of, this is a brilliant, evidence-based medicine. Half of what you'll learn in medical school will be shown to either be dead wrong or out of date within 5 years of your graduation. Trouble is, no one can tell you which half, so the most important thing to learn is on your own. 5 years. And I'm talking 20 years or 30 years from now. What are people going to look back at our time and say, my God, you stood by and you acquiesced your health and you submitted yourself to a system that can kill people? You looked around and you saw your fellow men get sick and drugged? This is our change. We're going to change this now. And we can change the belief system. If you're still in the allopathetic model, God bless you. Dementia will catch you and you'll forget where you are, okay? If you want to join me in the vitalistic model, that's cool, okay? I'm here, okay? And you could take charge of it, because all I want to do is inspire that your body is innate intelligence, that you're self-healing and self-regulating. You're divine being. You're more energy than matter. All this shit's true. Okay? And your body is designed to thrive on this planet. So does that mean health is a healthy adaptive response? Does that mean when I'm coughing, sneezing, I'm sleeping in towels Saturday night, just sweating like crazy, coughing up mucus and stuff? That's a good response to massive amounts of chronic fatigue, stress, everything. I developed an immune system response that I got some kind of pathogen, and my body was able to recognize it, mounted defense, and I got a chance to rest a little bit, and I feel good. Okay, I got to drink hot water because I still have some mucus being produced, my mucous membranes. It causes my vocal cords to sound a little funky. Okay, but this helps me talk normal. Okay, in a couple of days, I'll be fine or right as rain. So disease is an abnormal adaptive process. So when the doctor of the future, when you go up and you say, wow, your blood pressure is high, the doctor's not going to give you a beta blocker, diuretic, or ACE inhibitor. They're going to say, what's your stress level like? How are you sleeping at night? What's your physical, chemical, and emotional stress? It's the immune system that's everything. There's the immune system in an autistic kid is damaged. The immune system in a dementia patient is damaged. The immune system in a Parkinson's patient is damaged. It all goes back to the immune system. This is everything. And the immune system is controlled by the nervous system. This is the controlling, coordinates every function of the body, including hormone production. Regardless of the etiology, every chronic illness or disease Chronic illness or disease, 60% of all American adults, 54% of all American kids has to do with an autonomic nervous system issue. That's from physical, chemical, emotional stress. Further understanding of the connection between the immune system and autonomic system is vital for understanding the role of critical illness. What's it from? It's an adaptive response. No one's going after the cause. Why? Because they're not looking at the mechanical distortion. They're not looking at the toxicities or anything else. Let's look at this stupid one, herd immunity. This is the guy that coined it. He found that once wild measles virus went through and infected 68% of the children. Now remember, before the measles vaccine, 4 million people every year were getting measles. 4 million next year, 4 million the next year after that. And 400 would die. Instead of looking at the vitamin A deficiency of that 400 or the secondary effects of it, okay, and looking at how to strengthen the immune population, we're now giving everyone 2 doses of a toxic substance that's causing a weakening of the immune system. He said wild virus. And now people are saying community immunity. You must submit your children. Yes, it's for the good of the herd. Okay, there's some people that can't get it. They're too young. And you're being selfish. And sometimes it doesn't work. So you getting vaccinated may protect you. Okay, however, this is a forced medical procedure. We're at over 90%, 98% in some communities, 100% in other communities, and we're still seeing outbreaks. So what's the solution? One more. Let's get 3 MMRs. That's it. Because it used to be one and done, and that was with the DPT. And there were so many challenges from the diphtheria, tetanus, and pertussis shot in the 70s, so many lawsuits that they had to pass a liability law so that the vaccine manufacturers had no liability over their product. What did that look like? Well, you went from 11 vaccines to 14 to 18 vaccines to 54 vaccines to 72 vaccines, all mandated by the government. And now in California, they took out the parent's choice, they took out the doctor's choice. It's now mandated by the state. What's coming up? Why is all this stuff going on? It's only measles. Why? Well, because this American biopharmaceutical, there's over 271 vaccines currently in development. Currently, adults aren't getting forced vaccinated unless you're in healthcare. Okay, then you have to get a vaccine to keep your job. Hepatitis B, DPT, tetanus booster, and flu shots. Okay, so that's a challenge. If you want to keep your job, you don't get a chance to have a. Of course, people that come in the hospital don't have to show their vaccine record. So I don't know how that's working. Okay. But now, 137 for infectious diseases, 99 for cancers, 15 for allergies, 10 for neurologic disorders. There are a couple hundred trials. And so what do you think 50 years from now? Okay, you get a new baby, you just hook up an IV of vaccines and fill their body? Do you think we'll be at 300 vaccines per? Do you think we'll be at weekly vaccines for our entire population? This is insanity. When we look at the actual infectious rates and the death rates and the damage rates and the not harmed rates of all of these diseases that the controlled media is telling you, and I'm talking polio, measles, pertussis, tetanus, mumps, rubella, diphtheria, chickenpox, hepatitis B, and Hib, you're talking 99.999 or 998 at the worst one, no problem with. Okay, so why aren't we looking at that 1/1000th of a percent that had a challenge? This is how we're going to change the world. You got to choose. Okay, do you want to think for yourself? Okay, or abdicate authority over your health and go with the mechanistic allopathic approach? Don't think for yourself because you don't need to worry about using YouTube or Facebook or Google to find information about that drug. You don't need to. Just abdicate authority, give your authority over to the medical profession, and you won't need it. Or take a vitalistic model. Your body is self-healing, self-regulating, you're designed by God, you're brilliant. This is the future. Think of this. There's villages in Spain, Italy, and Greece. we have property in Rosarita that's going to be an eco village. Okay, now we don't have the properties in Spain, Italy, or Greece yet, but this is the start. So think of this, an eco village. That means it's off the grid, solar powered, wind powered, producing your own food, all organic, normal, hormone free, range free. I mean, we're talking normal, healthy food. And then in the clinic, you're talking IV detox, IV nutrients, ozone therapy, cancer therapies. You're talking corrective care, stimulation, neuroregenerative, stem cells. How would you like to grow your own stem cells? Okay, and then 1 week a year, you go there, you get totally detoxed, get adjusted like crazy, you get your body working correctly, you get infused with your own stem cells to rejuvenate, and these clinics are going to be around the world, all independent from anything. Okay, does that sound cool?
Yes.
Okay, so you're making a positive difference in the planet. Okay, you're off the grid, you're showing people that you can live in harmony with nature. You're showing that your body can live in harmony with nature. You're showing that disease processes can be reversed, non-pharmaceutical approaches. So when people come up and say, the autism epidemic, the dementia epidemic, damn it, we got a solution. It's right here. Okay, this is why. Okay, I'm back up to 7 days a week. This is why I'm cool getting a cold. Okay, thank God I needed the friggin' break. Okay. Really. So this is what you can do. Okay, if you have any questions, because this is the plan, this is what we're going to be doing. You know, go to Bergman Chiropractic. There's going to be information on the site there. I don't have any good website for the Mexican clinic. We just have some contact info. I wasn't planning on it being, you know, big yet. Okay, so I'm working on it. Extreme Health Academy, go there for the 14-day trial, just to look at the articles, just look at everything, okay? Talk to Justin and Kate, and they're two little baby twin kids. I mean, they're friggin' darling. If you're a patient here at the clinic, you'll see them. They come up about once a week. Okay, and go to YouTube. My channel is actually John B. Chiro. Okay, get there, download as much of the information as you can while it's still available. Okay, not the URLs, download it, save it, keep it. I've got it all saved here. We got it saved on the site. Okay, so the only thing that they can do is take it off of the search engines. But like you saw, it's apathy that's affecting Americans. If that channel, that history channel that I love watching, if that's off, am I gonna have a hissy fit? No, I'm just gonna go to another one. Okay, just like most people would. Okay, and now I'm asking you to be an advocate to make a difference. Okay, does that make sense? So this is what you can do. You can do this right now. You can go to extremehealthacademy.com, the Bergman 14. You can go to Bergman Chiropractic, which it's kind of a funky site. It's cool. My hair was less gray. It's weird. It's weird. I'm going, who's this young, good-looking guy? Oh, shit. and go to the YouTube. Okay, get the John B. Chiro. Just start downloading stuff and share it. And we got to get this information out. Okay, does that make sense? When I put this up, can you see how clear it is that these diseases, they're an adaptive physiologic response. You need to have a healthy nervous system, exercise, deep sleep, eat what your grandparents ate. You know, should I do the Atkins diet? I don't know. Did your great-grandpa have it? No, he was wacko. He just ate nothing but range-free, hormone-free, organic. And he lived to 100 and something. Okay. We got the Puerto Vallarta seminar coming up in the November and the cruise in April. And we're going to have, the Dr. John Bergman site is going to have like all the events, because I'm speaking at the end of November in London, and I'm speaking another time in December, I think, in Palm Springs. You can tell I'm a genius at scheduling, right? Okay, without Minnie, I wouldn't know. Any questions? Yes, sir. And I got to repeat it because I got the only microphone.
Yeah, so what are we supposed to do once the adult vaccines come into play? How do you avoid that? Is there a way to...
Okay, that's what I'm going to do the next talk, or hopefully the next talk. Next talk might be either on brain health or civil rights. Okay, what happened when your girl was not allowed to sit in the front of the bus, that they put her in the back of the bus? Did she say, yes, sir, I'm going in the back of the bus? Or did you say, hey, this just isn't right? Okay, what happened when you were trying to use the wrong fountain? Okay, and they tried to arrest you for it. Did you say, sorry, sir, I'll comply, I'll be a good guy? No, we don't do it anymore. This is civil disobedience. People are going to get hurt. The guy that I named, Michael Cutler, is the guy who I named my son Michael after. I got two sons, Michael and Danny. Okay, my oldest boy, and he was a civil rights advocate. And he was beat up, shoved in a barrel, locked in a barrel, and he had a weird tic where he would like move his head a lot. But he had such a kind heart and so much love. Okay, that's why I named Michael after. Danny got named after a really bitching guy who was also nothing but love too. I mean, it's just when we're talking about civil rights, they were getting beat up, they were getting hung. When you look at Billie Holiday's song, the hanging fruit or the fruit, something like that. I forget the title of the song, but she's talking about all lynchings. Okay, people are being killed, and so this is no compliance. If there's a fine, pay it. Okay, and then just say no compliance, because they're using you as an experiment. If they go in there and they show that these drugs and vaccines have done in a placebo-controlled trial, just like a drug trial is, and you're given choice, beautiful. If you're not given choice, that's a violation of the Nuremberg Code, okay, where you have to be going along with it, okay? Otherwise, we have the largest prison in the world. Okay, 300 million people are here. Okay? That's it, man. No compliance. I'm with you. Next week, we kick butt more. Thank you very much.